I am silencing my phone. It's 5:38 p.m. This is a caucus of the Jersey City Municipal Council. Today is September 11th, 2017. So we had a 5:30 start. It is 5:38. Maybe we should start with a moment of silence in honor of that awful day, which seems like yesterday. It was 16 years ago. Thank you very much, everyone. Okay, roll call. Councilperson Gajewski.
Here.
Gadsden. Here. Fagiano.
Here.
Yun.
Here.
Osborne. Absent. Robinson.
Here.
Rivera.
Yep.
Waterman.
Here.
Present.
Here.
It's made me laugh. I needed one. Thanks. President, take it away.
Hi, good evening. Good evening, everyone. Our first presenter tonight is Corporation Counsel, Jeremy Farrell, who's here specifically on one particular item, and he has to leave shortly after this. So, I apologize, guys, for not being here for the whole meeting. I will be back shortly, but you're in the more than capable hands of Joanne Monahan. But I did want to talk about the settlement. It's do you know what item it is in there? I didn't bring my book. It's a resolution.
Did we put a resolution with the Cali? Yeah, I'll help you out with that. If I take my eyes off, I'll see a lot better. It's deep. It's deep like that. It's not. It's here, everyone. Don't get excited. It's just hiding among the 60 resolutions we have. First one gets a lollipop.
Z22.
Z22.
Z22, everyone.
And this is a little bit of a confusing settlement, but really the overarching theme is quite easy to understand. This matter goes back to 1999, and actually was one of the first things I dealt with when I took office with you guys. And what happened here was Matt Cali had a series of properties, one in particular, where they had a dispute about how and the service charge should be calculated and how it should be paid. They went to court, and the matter was settled by then Corporation Counsel Bill Massacutis. And he settled the matter with a document that said that the payment would be the same for the duration of the abatement. Matt Cali interpreted that to mean that the settlement, the service charge would be the same all the way through the abatement, including the statutorily required staging period at the end of the abatement. So you'll see in all of our abatement agreements, at some point in time, you'll see in our documents in the pro forma that we go from 20, 40, 60, 80, up to conventional taxes. And generally speaking, although it's not always the same for every abatement, but generally speaking, right around 60% of conventional taxes, it tips. And the abatements, they start paying more in a service charge than the initially calculated service charge at whatever percentage. And that started happening in the Matt Cali situation. They filed suit again, saying, when we started billing them for that additional amount, saying that we were violating our own settlement agreement. We went to court for some of the phases of that, and as we were preparing our case, we came across an interesting issue, which is that they threatened to terminate the abatement and go all the way conventional, which for us is a very significant financial hit. And so we started looking at that, but then they said not only would they do that, but they would also then subsequently file a tax appeal, which would most likely result in a reduction of their valuation. And so because of that, we decided let's come to the table and settle this. And the result of that, which has been in discussion for well over 3 years, we finally reached an agreement. And this agreement, it gives some stability to Matt Cali, and it gives them the ability to amortize their payments over, but it results in about a $3.2 million net benefit to the city. So we'll actually end up getting $3.2 million more out of this pilot than we otherwise would have gotten. And the way it's going to work is we're going to have our experts agree on a valuation, which will be a new evaluation, and it'll be a slight reduction of what the property is currently valued at. And then based on that evaluation, we're going to go forward and charge a service charge on that, and we're going to agree to do the staging. And it's the staging where we make up the $3.2 million, but we've agreed to give them a few additional years before we start the staging. So the way the staging works is we have a certain number of years we have to do it in, but we can be flexible. And so here we're pushing the staging all the way back to the latest part of the abatement to give them a chance to adjust their rents and do whatever they have to do to make up that money without it being such a surprise for them. So that's the nuts and bolts of this agreement. Yeah.
When I see that in the financial agreement, they have a way to pay is a greater of annual service charge or 60% of a conventional tax. Then actually, city side, when you look at it, maybe the 60% they pay of the conventional tax may be higher than what they believe that, but that's what they agree.
That's right.
But why wouldn't the case why you settle?
Because they're saying that's in fact not what they agreed to. They agreed to a flat service charge per the settlement agreement. Because you have the financial agreement, but there was a subsequent settlement agreement based on a previous lawsuit. Yes.
Why would you know that then?
It was done well before our time.
That was then, this is now. How about the today's and tax, we have another contract, something we don't know?
Sorry, I don't understand your question.
Today's tax abatements, do they have similar contracts or terms that we aren't?
No, this is the result of a lawsuit that was filed many years ago. So we've had a couple of lawsuits on our abatements, but we don't have any settlement agreements out there.
So which you look at it, the agreement is meaningless because the original financial agreement say doesn't matter which way say, the greater they want to pay annual service charge or 80% or 60% conventional tax. Now they feel like they pay more based on 60% conventional tax. Now they come to us lower.
So no, it's not about lowering. What it is about is the initial lawsuit was really about how the property was valued, how the service charge was arrived at. Actually, it was a construction service charge, but it was about how the service charge was arrived at. But in that settlement, there was language that I would say is ambiguous that said that there would be a flat service charge.
Who was the co-president counsel at the time? I'm going to fire him now.
It wasn't me.
That's it.
I'll just leave it at that. But the point of that, 2010, I think, was it? 2010. Yeah. So, but what I would say to you is, I would still try to defend the fact that, not based on the language of the settlement agreement, but on the fact that the staging is statutorily required. So even though there might be some ambiguity in the settlement agreement, I don't believe this body has the authority to change that because it's statutorily imposed upon us.
20, 40, 68.
But by the time you start getting into those types of litigations, first of all, it's very costly, and second, we may or may not win, but ultimately, Matt Cali just said, well, then we'll just walk away from the abatement altogether, which.
You know what, and to your case, I'm going to go ahead, because we're going to do rebel, and let him learn something.
Unfortunately, what we learned, and I'm sharing that usually I would only do this in closed session, but this is a fact that both parties are aware of, so I'm not disclosing anything that's going to jeopardize our position. But the expert reports suggest that that's actually it's a commercial and mostly property, but that's a piece of property that's actually going to probably have a decrease in its value once the reval comes. So this actually will protect us from the reval in this particular case. So strategically and financially, this is actually the best approach. That's why we're recommending it to you.
Matt Cali is a very influential person in the city of Jersey City. Yes. So I like to have from your department have some kind of documentation that their appraisal, current appraisal so much. Right. If we actually do that, how much will be different? Without the city council, without any appraisal report, Councilman, no,
I did submit a letter, but that would actually come from Ed Tolosa's office, and he can prepare that for you if you'd like.
Ed Tolosa, I would just like to point out that Ed Tolosa was personally involved in the mediation before Judge Gallipoli. He attended the mediation sessions, and he was very much a principal at the table and supported this settlement. Because the net to the city is significantly protected and higher,
So keep in mind,
rather.
it's gonna result in like 3.2 million, and we're in the last 5 years of the abatement. So we're up against two-thirds of a million a year in increased, excuse me, increased value.
so, no, I don't know that building didn't do that, they appraised for many years. So now, number one, I think at this city
That's
council.
not unusual, because during abatement, you wouldn't normally do a new appraisal.
So, and we hit the rebuild this year.
Yes.
So now, we'd like to, today the building finish the rebuild?
They're not finished yet, no.
Not finished yet. Then, the company we hire, we should get to ask them, the rebuild company, to they rebuild there first before we settle any case with them.
Well, we would rely on our expert reports, which is gonna be pretty much the same. And like I said, if you want something from Ed, I will get you something from Ed. No problem. All right, guys. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So you'll have that information tomorrow. You can make sure that it goes to Margaret, and Margaret will make sure it's disseminated, yes? Okay.
That will be a privileged document, just.
Yes,
to
I'm
make
not
you
gonna
aware.
show with my aide, with my wife. We gotta make sure we have documentation. All right, no problem.
Any other questions or concerns on this? Hearing none, thank you. Brian, you're up. Brian has 10Z35. Robert,
We have Councilperson Osborne. Present. On phone, 550.
Z35 is a resolution authorizing an award of a professional service contract to French and Perello Associates in connection with engineering, design, and construction services for the Riverview Fisk Park Improvement Project.
We're hiring for electrical engineering services to bring new electrical into the park, as well as new water service for the park improvements.
When you say water service, what do you mean water service?
There's no water service in the park right now, and we're putting in an irrigation system and watering hydrants for watering purposes.
Questions? No question, I'm gonna vote. Hurry up.
Well, Brian, before you go, will you leave it? All right, Sergeant Bean, is the money coming for the playground for the kids?
I'm gonna budget for it by next year if I don't get the approval.
You know, they were promised this. Mark Redfield was there, we were up there. They were promised to have that playground, an area fixed up. It's going on almost a year now, and it's quite a hot issue, okay? That's number one. Secondly, the track. I was up at Persian Field, I met with a bunch of people. When is the, I know, Brian, it's not you, all right? When is the, oh, it's you? Joe?
Joe gonna be answered, he answered me that months ago about the,
Yeah, so I
Race
reported
trip.
last in July, I said we'd be out to bid in September, by the end of the month. We're still shooting for the end of this month to go out to bid with that. The only thing we need to look at is the rubber. I can definitely do the asphalt and have it graded. The drainage system was already cleaned and evaluated by the MUA. And once the asphalt's in, it could always be added later. But at this time, it's highly recommended that we go with the asphalt only and the striping.
so Joe, Brian, we gotta make sure, because Joe and you are a different department, so we gotta make sure that, Joe mentioned to that, put your asphalt and the racetrack and the Pershing field, they cost around $200,000, printed the rubber another $400,000. So total will be $600,000 will be completed the racetrack in the Pershing field. In the meantime, 2014, we allocated for the Pershing field racetrack $800,000. So it's still $200,000 left over. That $200,000 we allocate to the Anthony, what was his name? Sergeant Anthony Park, they should be fixed at the playground. DA scratch your head now, he's son of a gun, you remember all those numbers. But that's what we should be done.
Bob, they spent $45 million down on Garfield Avenue. This is ridiculous. You go up to Persian Field, that place is mobbed. You go to Sergeant B. Anthony's, there's kids in there. That chute is dangerous. That one there, they have what, plywood on the bottom or something like that?
Yeah.
This has to be done. I mean, if you could come up with $45 million for one park, this should have been done a year ago. I'm not blaming you, Brian.
So we just have the same page. Even though we finished rubberized at the racetrack, total cost not more than $600,000. Meantime, City Council allocate $800,000 per city racetrack, so $200,000 left. So we like to see from your side some resolution to allocate the $200,000 for Sergeant Anthony Park, so we can have a new playground, the Sergeant Anthony Park. So Councilman Richie Bojan are going to be happy before election hit.
Okay.
Good. Good job.
This has nothing to do with the election. It's been going on for 2 years.
All right.
You say yes.
We have Joe Cunha, who has 2 items. One is Z24.
Oh, you're done for tonight, right?
Z24.
Okay, so, Z24 is a resolution authorizing the City of Jersey City to enter into a cooperative agreement, pricing system agreement with the Alliance for Competitive Energy Services. It's called ACES, authorizing participation in the ACES Plus program for energy consulting services with Gable Associates. To translate this into simpler terms, a few years ago, we went out to bid in conjunction with, actually the HCIA went out to bid for various locations throughout the city to install solar panels and to basically enter into a power purchase agreement, which essentially authorizes and sees through the installation of those panels. And then you know what? I'm going to give it off to Gable Associates. I have Andrew Conti with me. He does this day in and day out. He is the consultant involved in the solar program. I'd like for him to speak a little more in detail, just so I don't speak out of turn.
Yes, please.
Okay.
Thank you for having me. This is going to be a procurement to go out and do the project at the DPW building. The intention is for us to procure a power purchase agreement from a PPA provider. The PPA provider, power purchase agreement, PPA. The provider will be responsible for designing, engineering, maintaining, operating, owning the system. It will be constructed on the municipality's property, and the benefit will be shared with you through a lower cost of electricity, lower than what you currently pay for your electricity for that site. There are also a couple other benefits we're going to investigate through this process. We're going to look at preparing the site for potential electric vehicle charging stations, as well as potential energy storage options for resiliency for the building. This is going to be something we're going to look at in the initial phase of reviewing what has already been written as an RFP by the city. We want to make sure that that's, to what the market is currently looking for as far as bidders, make sure it's competitive. We're going to get a competitive response. In the end, the goal is to have about a megawatt worth of solar over at the DPW directly feeding the building at a lower cost than what you currently pay for it.
Questions for them?
Or the time frame for the 8 to 16,000?
So the way this works is that through the ACES Plus program, we will do all of the work, and if we get to the end and a signed power purchase agreement there's actually one executed from both sides, the payment comes from the project developer to Gable Associates for our services up to that point, or for the entire project, actually. The $8,000 and $16,000 come into play if you want to stop prior to us getting to the signing of a power purchase agreement. If you stop us before we release the RFP entirely, it's $8,000. If you stop us after we release the RFP and receive proposals, then it's $16,000. Likewise, if you stop us after you've received proposals but decide that the savings wasn't significant enough to want to continue with the project, that's $16,000 for our services. But the intention is that this is going to be a no out-of-pocket expense, being that the developer will pay that money back to you if we get to a signed power purchase agreement.
But this is a very similar issue, and the solar panel, electric, so and so.
Right, when the first administration first took over, there was supposed to be solar plan there, and the deal fell through with the HCIA. So now we're initiating it on our own. We're not waiting for the HCIA anymore.
Yeah, a few of the locations were installed and are active. This was the final one, and the developer or the contractor went belly up. Sun Edison, they're no longer in business. So in order to not leave this one hanging, we decided to go back out to bid with this one on its own and expand the program to include potentially electric vehicle charging and better fortification for the complex as far as backup power to assist the emergency generator.
So this is and another question is, I mentioned a couple of times our business administrator, but we didn't get a chance to speak with the engineer of the city of Jersey City. The city of Jersey, we talk about energy saving, many times we talk about it, but actually our street light is still all the time a lamp and we use it. But some other town, they use LED light.
We've talked about that.
Yes. So now, reason I say that, we gotta make sure that when you put out the bid, we have to do right. Some like a Central Avenue, where when you put your holiday light, years ago, regular traditional holiday light, we pay PSENG, 3 months of period time, we pay holiday light around $3,000 to $3,500. After we change the LED light for holiday light, we pay like around less than $400. So, city of Jersey pay how many $1 million we pay? $6 million per street light?
No, is it that
How
high?
much, Steve? How much is it?
$3 million.
$3 million.
$3 million, you know, if we ever save that, and the PSA should be voluntary, should change the light bulb to the LED, and then we can probably save at least 30%, which we should save like $1 million. Then $1 million we can allocate for a lot of community programs for. So yes, Sergeant B. Anthony Park. No, we found the $200,000 already. So I think we have to do that. And now in that,
You don't own the light poles.
Joe.
You can't control what lights go in there.
yeah, but we can ask a demand because PSNG doesn't necessarily change the light bulb because as long as you keep the old one, they collect $2-3 million city of Jersey City.
So I had a meeting with PSEG specifically about this. It's a little more difficult to calculate than just that. It makes sense what you're saying. If every street light was metered, which it isn't, it's on a predetermined program, contract, location by location, that includes maintenance and the overtime buy down of the fixture itself and the poles. We don't own those. There's a depreciation value over time that was written in the schedule, was amortized. That's what sets our fixed fee that we pay every month for a certain amount of years. So there is a bill pending in the Senate, I believe, that is going to require the utility companies across the state to change, to convert to LED. However, a direct pass-through to the municipalities will not occur because of the reasons I just mentioned with the way it's broken down. Anything we own that's metered, that's a different story because that's kilowatt hour for kilowatt hour calculated exactly and charged by that number.
But when we pay, we not just write a blank check to the PSAG. When we pay, based on calculation that involve, you know, how much electric, how much depreciation, how much, what are they called, the pole cost, and so on, so same, and we can calculate it. Reason I say that when I was at Princetonville, Massachusetts, that town, all street lights LED, so bright and they're very friendly, you know. So it's about time to be there. Not only that they're street light, also all the city buildings, you know what I'm saying? We should time to change.
So the city buildings is a very good point. Anything owned by the city that's a building is metered. That's a direct savings on anything we do energy efficient wise. However, there's the cost to put up front to make that happen.
So now, let me argue with another, discuss with the part of that. Somewhere when we don't put out the bid, we can tell the bidders, whatever you put in the upgrade our lighting system to the city building to LED, but whatever we save in maybe that contract to take 2-3 years, after 3 years, saving go to the Jersey City. We can make a lot of different ways to, we don't have to put out the money up front. I think as when we put out the bid, I mean, the request for proposal, we should be asking that. You know, whatever saving, whatever cost, they're 2-3 years, we're not gonna be any benefit, we're gonna pay for them, But after 3 years later, savings belong to city of Jersey. We can play a lot of different ways to save the taxpayers' dollars. I think we should do that over time.
Yeah,
Because
I
over
think,
the 4 years, we just sit on, right? It sounds good?
Yeah,
See that?
absolutely.
He says sounds good too, she says sounds good, so we gotta look into that now, right, Johnny?
Coincidentally, Gable also handles that type of service.
Right, there is a program open to you.
said-
There's a,
Yeah.
the local finance notice allows you the Energy Savings Improvement Program, which will enable you to finance improvements through 15 years of an agreement based on the savings value that you can generate from that project. You could also make that responsibility for creating that savings an energy service company's responsibility to guarantee it and give it back to you. So if that's something you want to investigate, that's a very large project. That's something that'll take some time to do the math on and make sure you have it right and write an RFP and put it out there. And there's definitely questions and different approaches that you want to answer before you get to the point where you have an RFP on the street. But that is essentially the idea and the method that a lot of townships and school districts are using in order to do improvements.
So we, city of Jersey, spend some dollars to hire the consulting company to do that study. Is actually it's not spending, actually investing.
It would be part of it, it's similar to this solar program.
Right.
Okay.
Where we wouldn't have to outlay money up front. As long as the math works with the amount of savings, it would finance the cost to put in the new LED lighting, for example, if it's lighting, because there's many things you could do.
Right.
Many improvements you can implement. But it would also take care of the soft costs for the RFP preparation, construction management, and so on. I will say this, we had done a citywide energy audit some years ago.
Yes, we did that, right? What happened?
We just did another one that was newer and probably more improved, just finished a few months ago. It makes recommendations for energy efficiency improvements throughout the various buildings in the city. We're working with the Office of Sustainability here in City Hall, getting them up to speed, and they're going to help us push that across the line and come forward to this council and make some recommendations.
Please, I want to be the leading city to energy save in the, especially opposite the government building, okay? All right, good, thank you. I got no further questions.
Yeah, I just want to let you know, I'm sorry. I called PSE&G about 3 weeks ago to change certain lights in a certain area down, sections downtown. They changed them within a week. They put LED lights in.
Are we positive they're LED? Or
That's
they
what
just
I was
changed?
told. They were LED lights.
I'll double
And
check.
they're bright. I'll tell you.
Very
what
good.
they're like.
I'll double check, but I know that a citywide, statewide bill is pending that would require them to phase in LED in 4 years, over a 4-year period.
But wait a minute, when I ask a street light, then they don't do nothing, and then when you call, they do something?
I got friends in high
You
Wait
Wait a minute,
You better go through Rich.
I gotta call him now.
One at a time, please.
Okay.
Absolutely. That's the flashing light installation? Yes, I sent the email to, actually, Mayor Fulp was just asking about that. There was a delay because of the manufacturer being located in Texas. Hurricane Harvey pushed everything off by 1 month. The targeted date was actually next week, September 15th, I believe, for installation of those. As long as we receive the material, the contractor's been ready and waiting for a month now to install. So nothing has changed from that last update. Yeah, I believe it's still the 15th, Andrew, do you recall? That's what we're hoping to receive. Hoping to receive, and then he'll, within a couple of days, install.
Probably looking at the third week.
For installation? Okay,
The end of next week.
all right.
That's,
Glad Andrew's
that's
here.
the best case scenario.
Okay. Was that both locations? I know Harrison's definitely, Harrison and West Side.
Harrison and Westside will absolutely be first.
What was the other location, Councilman?
Harrison and Bergen.
I don't know if we recommended flashing lights.
Harrison Bergen's a different type of treatment.
We have a study.
Yes.
We have a study in place. It's undergoing right now for that location. That's the post office location?
Yes.
Yeah, that's a little bit different species to tackle. But Harrison, and there was various other improvements at Municipal on West Side, which you were privy to as well.
Okay.
Oh, I have one more.
10Z31.
Just want to mention 10Z31. Yeah, we're looking at the next meeting with that.
10Z31 will be withdrawn. Looking at the next meeting. Did you want to say something about it, or you want to just take
Yeah, I
it?
just want to make sure the numbers The numbers were actually going to be a little bit higher, and some of the backup information I submitted was not comprehensive. So I'll be back with brand-new documentation with the correct numbers and correct backup
Okay.
at the next meeting.
This one.
It's being withdrawn.
I know the withdrawal, but. In a person in here, this room, Yvonne, she's here. When she talking about the City Hall Annex building, I think every council members probably remember, she bring up the issue about the environment issue that site, the City Hall Annex building. At the time, one of the city officers actually denied that, but look at it today. We gotta pay, clean the soil and the things, $400,000 we have spent, something we didn't expect.
I just want to be clear though.
Yeah.
The agreement we wrote explicitly excluded that
Yes.
from the landlord, the developer, that we will be leasing from their obligation. The city was always going to pay for anything unforeseen of that nature.
So the developer is the landlord?
The developer is the landlord, and we will be the tenant for a certain amount of years. I don't recall
25
exactly.
years, 25 year
25
lease
years.
purchase option.
If you think about it, it's unfair to put it all on someone. It could be $1 million, it could be $2 million, it could be $100 million. The safest and cleanest way is always to.
Just make sure
We can
that,
deliberate this next week.
Joe,
Yeah, okay.
make sure that they're owning the other bills, okay? To
Joe,
make sure they send the right amount.
You and Andrew are the best. Every time I call you, you guys are great.
Thank you.
No, Andrew,
John, thank you. Nice. You're nice about it. Thank you. Thank you all. Director Flanagan, you're up. We've got 2 walk-ons and 10B. Start with 10B first.
Let me start with introducing Dr. Bastola. Dr. Bastola is our new health officer. He started on August 28th. He joins us from Irvington, where he was the health officer there. Prior to that, in Newark, spent some time with the World Health Organization and with the state health department, and is an expert in communicable disease, and we really needed to bring someone on that worked closely with the state and does work specifically around our communicable disease efforts. So he has hit the ground running. And I wanted to bring him to formally introduce him. You'll get a resolution for the state that needs to put him into the state mandated functions.
First name? First is Shatrugan, Shatrugan, Shatrugan. And the last name is Bastola. Bastola. Bastola.
Bastola. Bastola. Welcome aboard.
Welcome. Was there a specific resolution? Welcome.
No, the resolution is kind of, we were asked by the state after the agenda item, and I didn't, since I've got all these other things that came after the agenda setting meeting, I figured this one could wait, but I wanted you to meet him and know that, we've, moving forward, and you'll hear from him more. Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's get to your items.
All right.
10B,
10B.
the resolution authorizing the Jersey City Department of Health and Human Services to accept funds from the state of New Jersey, Department of Health and Senior Services, Division of Family Health Services, for administering the Childhood Lead Poisoning Prevention Program, CLPP.
So this is an annual, we've been doing this 30-something years. This is where we test children under the age of 6 for blood lead levels. The changes in this year's grant is the blood lead level is going down to 5. Traditionally, it's over 14 that we open up a nurse-based case on a child. This was based on some federal law that started here in New Jersey after the Flint, Michigan issue. So this funding pays for 2 lead inspectors and the 2 nurse team. Their requirements are to be a BSN and an office manager for that team.
And we have 2 walk-ons, and did you just have something else?
No, that's everything.
Okay, so the 2 walk-ons, one of them is 10Z39, which is a resolution authorizing the acceptance of a grant from the Hudson County Department of Health and Human Services and the execution of that grant agreement.
This is the Municipal Drug Alliance dollars. This grant actually started July 1st. This past year, the Governor's Council asked us to make some edits to this grant, so it delayed the letter of intent for this grant. So this grant has been holding up these nonprofits that we subgrant to from getting payment. So we wanted to walk this on so that next meeting we can open an account, and then if we can get the business administrator to allow us to also subgrant at that meeting, so that we can then the meeting thereafter get these nonprofits paid for the work that they're doing to prevent drug and alcohol abuse across the city.
I'll just, some of the changes there include Haven Respite Adolescent Center, Hope House, right, and Lindsay Meyer Teen Institute, and
the Covenant House Outreach.
And Covenant House Outreach. So, for folks recall, my colleagues, Jersey City Together's meeting and talked to some of the funding that's going there for some of those programs, addressing those needs.
And so the next, you don't have a resolution in front of you, but it will be Z42. And this, yes, this is to formally reconstruct the committee of the Municipal Alliance as requested by the state. So in the past, we had several non-voting and voting members on this committee. They asked us to diversify the committee to engage more youth and parents and the hospital system. So we've been sending out requests to individuals that would like to join. Marlene has been very helpful in that. Rolando is the chair of this committee, and we're waiting for everyone to firmly respond with the, so that we can have that edited for you by Wednesday and name all the names in on the team. Because the governor's office would like one, so.
It's an executive order.
It is, but they would like a resolution for their files.
Who told you that?
That's what the governor's council asked us for.
In writing?
In writing, yeah,
I'd like
I have
to
a
see
series
that.
of emails, yeah. Yeah.
Just to manage expectations, as you mentioned youth, there's actually no youth appointments until a following meeting, because the youth who are being recruited all participate in that Lindsay Meyer Teen Institute. Some of you may be aware that training for young people on being leaders in substance abuse prevention. So a number of Jersey City youth, 30 youth?
31 youth several weeks ago to this camp for a week on drug and alcohol prevention, and they come back with plans that the health department implements. And so from that, 6 students are interested in being youth committee people, but there's only space for 2 of them, so we're conducting interviews with them to place them.
We'll have the completed list tomorrow.
Yeah. Yes, we invited Takira too. She was a chaperone on the trip. So,
Anything else?
that's everything. Thank you.
Bernadette, you're up. Bernadette has 4 items and 2 to be withdrawn. Why don't we start with the easy ones to withdraw? That's
Number 25 and 28.
Z25 and Z28. These are being withdrawn from the agenda at Bernadette's request.
We hope to have them back to you at the next council meeting, but no later than October 11th for sure. We're wrapping up the report for changing our services, so we'll bring these to you as a complete package.
Okay, that's for telephone line services, and the other one is for data lines, right?
Yes, sir.
So next meeting. Z29 and Z30?
So the 29 is a new backup system that will help us to leverage some of the newer technologies. It will enable us to get a more complete backup in the evenings. We've essentially run out of space. We have ways that we can facilitate and take just things that have changed each night, but that makes restoration difficult. And so by doing this, we'll be able to, the new system will enable us to begin to leverage some cloud storage that we have. So we're going to be moving in that direction. Plus, our newer operating systems are not compatible with the existing system we have. So it's kind of a twofold reason that we've decided to change instead of just trying to upgrade the existing system.
What are we backing up to?
Files, applications, yes, sir.
Everything?
Yes. IT people tend to. It's a very good practice, exactly. And being good IT people, we tend to have suspenders and belts. So.
The next one is award a contract to Broadview Networks for
Yes.
voice communication network services.
This is under state contract, and it is for some of our traditional services, and we are going to be keeping some of these, we believe, in any case, even if we change. So that's why we're going to proceed with this. I'm not exactly sure why this was only a 6-month resolution when we started the year. This one should have been for a whole year, so it was just a little misunderstanding, I think, of the difference between the types of service we were acquiring.
Any questions from folks? My only comment is it's effective July 1st. So we'll get the next one in before December 31st.
Absolutely, yes, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Bernadette. Director Stamato from Department of Public Works. Welcome, Director.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening. Starting with 10Z19.
That is a submission of a grant application and the execution of a grant contract with the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection for the 2016 Recycling Tonnage Grant from the DEP.
That's correct.
It's an annual event.
Questions on this? Hearing none. 10Z26.
That is an open-end contract to United Sales USA Corp. for the supply and delivery of custodial supplies.
That's correct. That was a total of 7 bids. United Sales is the lowest bidder. Excuse me, I'm sorry. And that price was $56,990.
Any questions? Hearing none. 10Z27.
That's an open-end contract with Duncan Hardware, a local outfit, for miscellaneous
Plumbing supplies.
plumbing supplies.
Public bid, actually a Jersey City company. And that price is $167,763.90.
Questions? Councilman?
Yes, we're running into a lot of situations between piping and valves and things of that nature. We're not going to use all of this. We just expanded upon it due to the fact of the number of problems that we're running into between the fire department and police department with their locations and their buildings. So overall, say the city buildings.
The last year's expenditures were $130,000.
Correct. So to cover ourselves, we figured we would raise it 30, just in case for something unexpected going into the winter.
Okay. And then we got 10Z36. I think this is
The lawnmowers?
the lawnmowers.
Infamous lawnmowers.
Door, tractor.
He's here to explain The $66,000 one.
First thing I want to establish, these are not push mowers. These are not household lawn mowers. These are commercial lawn mowers. To give you an idea, the lawn mowers that we have cut basically about 2 acres, roughly a little over 2 acres an hour. These machines, well, the one in particular, will do 11 acres. Due to the size of our parks and what's probably coming online, we really need to do these to get this type of equipment to do the amount of work. These lawn mowers are mulching lawn mowers, so basically what we're doing is we're reusing whatever we cut to act as a fertilizer, meaning we don't put much fertilizer down on our park locations in our city buildings.
Questions about the lawnmowers? There was some last meeting.
What do we do with the man hours from 2 to 11? Are we going to be putting people on part-time?
This is just basically to keep our people working, to be honest with you. We've experienced a lot of breakdowns with our lawn mowers. To give you an example, the lawn mowers, the smaller ones, will last for 2,500 hours. These machines are built for 10,000 to 15,000 hours. So the longevity on them are going to be there. They're being serviced in-house at the DPW garage, like we do with our lawn mowers. They're not that they're technically sophisticated, but they're a lot larger than a regular lawnmower than we have.
Where do we store these?
They'll be stored at the DPW. We're not going to be storing them at Berry Lane because the whole idea with these 3 lawnmowers, they're going to work in unison, and they'll be going to the different parks. And that'll help us cut down on bringing in an outsider to do our work.
How are they transported?
They're transported on a trailer that's pulled by a pickup truck, basically.
Cut the grass in Jersey City? I don't think so. We never had a contract with the outside vendor to cut the grass.
We bring, for our parks, some of our parks, we bring in some outsiders to service the parks in some of the areas. Yes, we do.
That's one thing. Second thing is that, this is hurricane season.
That's correct.
So now I'd like to ask a quick question. Is what is the DPW prepared for the hurricane season?
Right now, what we're doing is we're servicing our equipment. We're pretty well set with our large equipment, our loaders, our tree equipment, because we're figuring that, if something like that would hit, we're going to run into a problem with our trees. So our equipment is pretty well stabilized as far as being able to handle. But here again, if it's anything that hit Texas, then it's a different ballgame.
So when you have an issue of the Sandy, the hit of this area, number one issue was the trees. Okay, trees are knocking down power line, trees knocking down house, so and so. So I'd like to ask you that we should be proactive for that issue. We should be hired even outside vendor to expedite the tree trim now. Even I speak with the BA, I speak with the Park and First, but Sammy, right? Sammy's there, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I have our.
Because now, when you have a tree trim, so we gotta wait for how long? Months or 2 months in some case. Because of now, we changed some system in the Park and First Department. Before when we call, then when they respond, that tree trims units, they respond right away. Not right away, but they respond. But now we have to send the tree inspector to do that. Actually, I don't know why we need a tree inspector for just a tree trims, overgrown trees.
Yes. So the tree inspector, he's an ISA, International Society of Arboriculture Arborist, certified arborist. He went to school for it. Certain trees, to the common eye will look like they're dying, they're decayed, they're diseased or something like that, but certain trees throw out mildews or saps and they're perfectly healthy. So he goes there to, have the resident rest at ease that their tree isn't sick or dying. Sometimes it is, sometimes it's not. And in regards to storms and stuff like that, myself and Director Stamato have our guys on call 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So far in my 1 year and a couple weeks as being the director, we had tree situations at 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning, call them right on their cell phones, they pick up, we go straight to the job, straight to the site. We haven't had any issues so far.
Sammy, I think you do a great job in the past. No question about it. But let's put it this way. The police department, OEM department purchased the mobile CCTV caught over Summit Avenue and Caucus Road almost 3 weeks ago. And at the time, they put it in, I called the Sammy, asked the favor to 2 trees have to trim because overgrow, actually they blocked the view of the CCTV. That done yet, almost 3 weeks.
I wasn't even aware of that.
You didn't wait, I called you then.
Yeah, and I forwarded that to Ryan, because that's.
Okay, so now, at the time, Sammy mentioned today, he's gonna send a tree inspector to look at the tree. Yes, the way that Sammy explained today, if it's a dead tree, sick tree, you name all kind of trees, that situation maybe need a tree specialist to examine the tree. But actually, when we do overgrow trees, which is ready to fall down to the house, those kind of takes should be action, because we have only one tree inspector, and the probably you get called probably hundreds of trees, then we never able to job done. So now, do me a favor, when you guys take the job, they have to be separate. One overgrown tree trim, they're really necessary to send the tree inspector, yes or no? You know what I'm saying? We got to work it out a different way. And not only that, this is a hurricane season. Even though we spend a few dollars, extra dollars, we got to hire the outside vendor. We expedite the tree trim now before they cause some problem. Right, BA? Yes, sir. Thank you very much. I'd like to.
We've had this 2 years ago about hiring an outside person versus staffing up. Yeah, because tree trimming happens, and we're still increasing the tree canopy and doing all that. So the need for tree trimmers on our staff is there should be an increased need for that. So why do we pay an outside person if we can hire local people, again, for these jobs? What's your turnaround time right now for a tree trimming request?
About 2 weeks.
About 2 weeks.
About 2 weeks. We expect there, we call
What's a
them-
desirable
we call-
desirable number for you?
I mean, it varies, honestly, quite honestly. I get emails, calls, they just added see-click fix, so they're coming in at all times. Today, my phone's going crazy now. Yeah, all the time, all the time. Yes.
Let me ask this way. How many people work at your tree trims now? 4?
Our forestry team? Oh, no, we have over 10 guys that are in forestry.
But 10 guys, but how many units?
Yeah.
2 units.
Yeah, 2 units, definitely 2 units.
We're in the process of looking at, and this will be for a capital expense, we're looking at probably putting on a third unit, which would entail a vehicle and a wood chipper. So I think by putting that on, that'll help us out tremendously.
Yes, please. Now, this is the time to put out the units, extra units. If we cannot organize extra units, then we should be hired even the outside vendors. We gotta take action as soon as possible to hit the hurricanes hit in this area.
I'd like to invite the council. We're having a meeting on Thursday at OEM. I'll send that notice over to you, and basically we're preparing for what we just got finished talking about between the hurricane and the snow season. So this way you could be informed on what action plan we actually have in place.
I'll be there.
Okay, great.
Send me an email, okay?
I will.
All right, great. Thank you, Sammy. Good job about the pattern.
Do we have any other questions in reference to the lawnmowers?
So you're okay with this?
Reluctantly.
Okay. Well, VA gives you the green light. Okay. All right.
Councilman, I want to add one more thing. We do have a bid spec that we're ready to go out with if we need to, as far as putting an outside source in.
Before you change your mind? Yes.
Before I continue to move on, Director, how many items do you have? Just the one, come on up.
Thank you very much,
It's a late item.
It's the latest. It's the latest.
Folks, let's go. We got Director Williamson here. You have a late item from Director Williamson.
Item is to buy roller skates.
Z43. The purchase and delivery of various roller skates for the Department of Recreation. Contract to Rydell Shoes, Inc. So on September 16th, the roller skate will be, cut the ribbon there, converting Pershing Field from an ice rink to a roller skating rink. Seasonally, yeah. And,
Here we go. I'm sorry, we were holding them until you arrived. Apologize.
you want to speak about this? It's just
You didn't get one?
So we just recently wanted to purchase roller skates to utilize Pershing Field as on the off season as a roller skating rink for the general public, and as well as inline ice skating. I'm sorry, not inline, roller hockey. And, we went out to a couple of different vendors, and this was the least expensive and the best that we were able to come up with. We'd like to have it all squared for this Saturday's ribbon cutting, and just another avenue for the city of Jersey City, for the public.
They're gonna have, with the opening on the 16th, there'll be free.
There's a bunch of, there'll be free roller skating. There'll be refreshments served. There'll be 3 sessions from 12 to 9 o'clock, and we're gonna have the roller skating rink for about 4 weeks before ice skating begins.
Do they have any programs available for people who like to learn? Like they are roller skating?
I'm sorry.
Do you have any program?
Yeah.
I would think, next year. I think this year, just to get it off the ground, we wanted to get it going. So it'll be a shortened season because we haven't had the skates. But next year, I think we'll do a host of events, including lessons if need be. No, they don't have to wear any helmets. No. There'll be a DJ there. There'll be music. There'll be no disco ball yet, but it's coming. The season will be from approximately third week of October. I'm sorry, until the third week of October, starting around April 1st. To third week of October, yeah. Yes, sir.
Because we were up at Pershing Field over Jerry, has that been solved, that issue?
Oh, yeah. That wasn't brought to my attention yet.
Personnel issue.
Why not? Everybody else is talking about it out there. The bathrooms there. The women's.
Personnel issue.
Okay, I didn't realize what we were talking about. So we're talking about a personnel issue.
What's the difference? Everybody's.
Okay.
Bathroom, with the shower curtains, they were all complaining.
Yeah, we can speak to that, right? Shower curtains, mains. Yeah, when I learned about that, Councilman, I put in place every 2 weeks we change them. I didn't know about it in the moment that I learned about it. I immediately put in a process to take care of it. So every 2 weeks, regardless of the condition, they're going to be changed. Very inexpensive, and it's something that the public would need.
The lockers up there, took me through it. Half of the lockers are broken. People have stuff stolen out of them. What are they going to do with that? I mean, Pershing, it's time for Pershing Field. For this going on for 2 years, 3 years, and it's time to stop.
No, I would agree with you in what you're saying, but that again is not in my area. I mean, we put the request into DPW to have certain things taken care of, and I guess the workload that they have is such that they can't get there to do it. I mean, Pershing Field needs a complete overhaul, in my opinion, and we've asked for it, and I guess there are a lot of logistical things that need to be dealt with first. But it's not something that I control.
Bottom of the pool, you don't control that either, right?
Sand in the bottom of the pool, yes, we have the vacuum systems going all the time, but sometimes the backwash comes in, and it may necessitate doing it more. I've instructed, the maintenance crew to continually monitor it, as well as talking to the patrons and letting them know that if there is something that needs immediate attention, to bring it to the attention of the facility manager, Joe Napolitano. Thank you.
Carmen has a number of items, starting at 10Z7.
Okay, so I'll start in order. So 10Z7 is a resolution to amend the home agreement with the Jersey City Community Housing Corporation for the 108 Storms project. So this is just to amend the existing contract. The backstory, in fiscal 15, we gave $155,000 to the 108 Storms project. In 16, we awarded $250,000 to 108 Storms. DCD executed a contract for the approval of the funds. In August, we Also did a reprogramming of funds of $293,000 for the project. And so the next step is to amend the existing contract. So that's the resolution for 7Z. Any questions? Nope.
Questions? Okay. 10Z8?
10Z8. 10Z8 is the NRP Phase 2 amendment. Backstory here is the council and HUD approved for program year 2013 annual action plan for $621,750 to NRP2. DCD executed a contract for the approval of these funds. Council and HUD reprogrammed $20,505 of home funds in August. This resolution is to amend the existing contract of reprogramming funding.
Questions? Yeah. 10Z8. So they're going to build the 8 units for low and moderate incomes. Can you tell me that how many low, how many is moderate out of 8?
Right. So 10Z8?
Yes.
Hold on.
The total project cost is $1.7 million, almost $1.8 million. They're going to build the 8 units of
8
low,
units.
low and moderate income. So now I want to know how many low and how many moderate incomes.
So you want to break down, so it's based on a range, so I don't have that information for you, but I can get it for you in regards to the breakdown, of whether it's 30% AMI, 60% or 80%. I would have to get you that number, but it's a total between the breakdown and the range.
Yes, give us a separate. From the low income, how many from the 8 units?
Sure.
How many is from the moderate income?
Okay. No, she's in night class. She's in night class. The Z8?
10Z8.
10Z8.
No, the number 8 or 10, the units.
8 units.
8. Oh, John's here. Yeah, John. I think you said it was my staff here. Yes. Yeah.
John Restrepo with Garden State Episcopal, CDC.
So, some of the properties are still in the development, so we don't have a buyer or a tenant per se, so, and don't have the breakdown
Yeah.
for that.
But typically, these are two-family houses scattered site. So typically, it is a moderate income who buys the unit, and it is rented to a low-income tenant. So they run about half and half, that's my guess on this, but if they're two-family, that's what it would be.
10 units, right?
I will tell you why I'm getting that answer and that breakdown.
The school board basically 10 units, but the city ordinance say 8 units, so which is right?
It's 10 though. It's 10.
Right.
So it should be 10.
Should be 10.
There's 5
Well-
properties. So 5 properties are 10 units. It's not 8 units. Yes. So we gotta change it to our ordinance to 10 units, correct? Okay.
And these are for sale, correct? Right, so then it would be moderate income buying, low income wouldn't be able to afford it, and then but the moderate income would be required to lease to the low income tenant.
That's correct.
Right, okay, so it's half and half if there's 10.
I didn't bring my fact sheet, which normally I do, but because this was already approved in 2013, this is just amending the existing contract, but I will email it to Margaret and everyone in the council. You have it before Wednesday. Because it's already been.
Okay, next item, 10Z9.
10Z9. That you're not yet. So 10.
Folks, 10Z9. It's a resolution to recommend 95.5 recaptured funds to Fella Inc., also known as Emmett Realty Inc., Bergen View, the old YMCA. Any questions on this? This is Ward F.
But they say acquisition, but this is YMCA building. We're gonna purchase something, they're gonna purchase something? Units here? Or just rehab? Rehab. Just rehab, right? But what they say, ordinance say that the acquisition and the rehab, I guess, confusion. Just the rehab itself, right? Okay. Yes. Yeah, they need some improvement. Yeah.
Jersey City. We've got a resolution to authorize a community development block grant with 78 MLK LLC.
Can we answer this one?
What are they doing?
So 78 MLK, it's in, the project location is in Ward F, it's new construction, 3 affordable units.
What is it, 3 units or 4 units?
It's 4 units total, 3 units residential, 1 unit commercial. But we're only funding 3 units.
We're only funding
3 units is housing,
Yes.
and the 1 is for the commercial.
Correct.
So, okay, so the reason I'm asking you that, so 3 units is affordable housing units, correct?
Correct.
And the 1 unit is a commercial. Doesn't matter which you look at it. Build up the 4 units, the total cost come out $1.6 million. Sounds like a way high.
1.3.
1.3.
1.3. Actually 1.3, but the problem is all 1.4 was a 3. You know what I'm saying?
Yes,
More than
yes.
$400,000 for units for affordable housing units. To me, we pay way over price to pay for build affordable housing units to $400 per unit. Because even though they build the housing in Heights area, 2-family house costs around $350,000.
They're most expensive, but I've built about 1,200 units of affordable housing. The most difficult housing unit to build are large bedroom units. These units are all large bedroom units. It's a 4-unit, 4 bedrooms, the other 2 are 3 bedrooms.
Yep.
These units, yes.
Yeah.
What happens is, most of your housing, affordable housing is built with 2 bedrooms and 1 bedrooms. So it's very hard when a larger family is looking for affordable housing to find an apartment or a home. So this was a unique opportunity to create 3 large bedroom units. That's why it's a little bit more
For family
expensive.
units, yep.
The units are much bigger. It's a beautifully designed building. I can drop off the design to you tomorrow. It's an all brick building, beautiful building. So that's why it's a little bit more expensive, but these are very, very large units.
I never heard that affordable housing was full back.
And they're all 30%.
How is it heated? Gas?
No, it's like gas.
It's not built at affordable housing. You build it,
No, we
What are
built
they
affordable
for?
housing. These units will.
Castle
will
for
be-
fair
they're-
value.
They're priced to families making less than 80% of median income, but the families are gonna be much larger.
It is rare.
It's rare. This is rare.
Nobody gets, I've built a lot of units in Jersey City. I would say out of the 600, 700 units I built, maybe 30 of them are 3-bedroom units. It's very hard to do.
And as a reminder, the Affordable Housing Trust and Review Committee met, and we discussed all projects, all citywide in what areas and locations. And when you still do have limited funding sources and try to really stretch the dollars, I want to commend the committee for really trying to recommend as many developers and partners that we have here that are building affordable housing in Jersey City. So I have 11 items, but we are building and creating affordable housing, so.
Yeah, we appreciate the opportunity. Thank you. Thank you.
Next item is 10Z11. It's a resolution to recommend affordable housing trust funds to Ocean MLK Urban Renewal. Associates. Jackson Green.
Any questions? Michael? No. Michael, do you want to come up here? So again, this particular project, we're making the recommendation to scatter site project for $1 million. I have Michael here that may want to answer any of your questions relating to the project.
The scatter site one?
Yep.
Approve the tax abatements,
Mhm.
which they revealed at that time if they were applying for CPCG,
Mhm.
affordable housing trust dollars, et cetera. Any questions?
No.
No? Okay.
No.
Sir? Thank you. Just your presence alone.
Yeah.
Actually, I guess you come back, Z12, right? The same thing, resolution to recommend 95.5 recaptured funds to Ocean MLK Urban Renewal. Associates, Jackson Green. No questions on this, I would assume, or since there were no questions on the last one? Okay. Thank you. Z13 is a resolution to authorize a home investment partnership program agreement with Garden State Episcopal CDC at Hilltop View, 118 Summit Avenue. Okay. Here we go.
You know, I got some issue with the city, your department. I like to share with this story every people in this room. His name is Tom. He's a World War II veterans. And he actually live in Height. And the problem he has is that what he get, the welfare, I think he get food stamp like $20 a month. His rent went up so much in Height. So he have to show like $300 a month. You know, but she looking for help from the community development, all different agencies, what they are recommend. He go nowhere.
She went to different agencies and get
Yes,
no help.
but no help whatsoever. World War II veterans, he's almost 89 years old. You know, then any programs we have for those kind of case?
Senior programs.
Yeah.
I would suggest you go to a resident response center.
Yes, we did that, they ground, listen, go nowhere.
Right on.
If there is an experience with my office, I ask that you email me, veteran.
We emailed, and actually we emailed to your office, and my aide have to wait for the weeks at least to get the response from you. And I get so pissed off that I make a personal my phone call to your department get answer. You know, actually we have a lot of different programs, but yeah.
I've contacted you, and you need me, or anyone here that's needed me, I respond. And if it's gone to my staff, and I am a division director, and it somehow gets lost along the ways in translation, please let me know, because I am very responsive. And so for you to say that our prior experience, okay, but for you to say that and prior experience and engagements, that's not been the case that I've serviced the delivery that I've delivered. So I'm going to ask that we table this, and I will respond. This is not, we're talking about, this is, okay, so this is nothing, John is here to discuss, okay. Okay, so can we discuss John's affordable housing development so that we can ask in regards to the fact that we're recommending funding to continue to build affordable housing?
Housing for a veteran.
Okay,
That's what
yes.
he's
Okay, I will help you. I will help you.
He probably need to see Dave or county to see if
All
they can
right,
get a
so
veteran housing.
then
That's
my
it.
aide gonna contact with you tomorrow, okay? And we gotta find some solution for the old man.
Right.
You're with the connection to this, so. He's with. Does anyone have questions about Z13? Excuse me.
Yeah, they sent to here, nothing. They sent to all different agencies, nothing.
No, not you, not you. You're with Garden State Episcopal?
Yes, I'm there.
Are you from Hudson Gardens?
No, that's not my division.
That's not your division?
No. My office is located at 118 Summit Avenue, next to the St. John's Episcopal Church. And I'm their housing development director.
Is there a question related to Z13?
Garden State has been doing a great job in building affordable housing.
Busing the people from the Journal Square area over to the Hudson Gardens to feed them, and they're in the neighborhood begging and driving people crazy. Now you're messing up the Hudson Garden
They're like
area.
homeless.
Yeah, I mean, they just started this recently, and it's causing a problem.
Well, I can give you my email address, and I'll get you in touch with the right person to address that issue.
Susan.
Who's here on behalf of this development?
10Z13.
No questions on Z13? No.
Thank you.
No talk to you.
Thanks.
And Z14.
Z14 is a scattered site development. Also a home investment partnership program agreement with Garden State Episcopal, CDC.
So now, comment?
Yes.
Let me ask you this one. So when we talk about one of the affordable trust fund, housing trust fund, we give to them as a grant, or we give them as a small loan? How do they work now?
It's a forgivable loan, it's a grant.
I'm sorry?
It's a grant.
It's a grant.
Mm-hmm. But it's
Then
forgivable.
we always have the limit of the dollars, not only that, because we are lucky in Jersey City, we have a construction boom in Jersey City, so we are able to collect some dollars affordable trust fund, the housing trust fund now. But when the economy goes down, and when we're not expected that kind of affordable housing trust fund, the money, then how are you going to be managed that in the future? Because it's a market always up and down, because we're able to have some millions of dollars in the pocket because of economic situation, But now, 2018, if it's a market crash, if you have no new money, new dollars come to affordable housing trust account, then how are you going to manage the funding for affordable housing units and any this kind of project? Any plans you have?
So yeah, so when you look about what we do in community development in regards to writing our consolidated plan, which is a strategic plan that works in line with some of the housing studies that we do, we have a production problem, a preservation problem, and a creation problem all happening all at the same time. So HUD does require us to put strategic plans, to put 5-year planning implements to assess for these, the market conditions, right? And so here in Jersey City, with the Affordable Housing Trust Fund and with the development, we are able to continue to create affordable housing. I mean, I would throw the question back to the council and the city in regards to looking to fund community development outside of just the federal funding and the Affordable Housing Trust Fund funding that we just do receive. And so that would be my request in regards to looking at other ways. There's other grants that we can apply for and other things that we are doing in regards to trying to create more affordable housing. And
It's an affordable housing trust fund dollars. It's money that's used as a last resort. It's gap funding for the most part, and it's used to support construction or the acquisition of property. It's not a rental subsidy that goes on for years and years. So as the result, if the Affordable Housing Trust Fund should lose money or stop having money added to it because, say, for example, development slows or there is a downturn in the market, it just means that you won't have a resource to build additional affordable housing. It won't cause any existing affordable housing already funded to implode in any way. It's not an ongoing subsidy. It's pretty much a one-shot deal to get the property actually constructed. Is that fair?
Joanne, in regards to the Affordable Housing Trust Fund, and we've been able to create a lot of affordable housing. I mean, I can get you the numbers in regards to what we have in our under our affordable housing portfolio and what we've constructed in community development in the past.
Can we have like a minimum interest, like a 2%,
I
or
would
some
love to.
below the market interest we collect? So, and the revenue generated some kind of plans. You don't have
We
any.
do, I mean, from the federal programs, right, there's what's called program income, which is revenue. And if that revenue is created, it's supposed to be receipted in, and then we use that to further allocate. I would love to get to that space in regards to the Affordable Housing Trust Fund and structuring it alone, but as you know, there's a lot of things that have to work out in stages of development and getting us there. And yeah, hiring, loan officers and people that can underwrite and do a lot of these deals in more of a sophisticated fashion. We are working towards there and getting to that point, but there are items in there that we do the analysis, but understand that these restrictions are for like 20, 30 years, and so.
Okay.
And the project, if it were to collapse, the particular project that money is being used for, in theory at least, the city would be one of the creditors at the foreclosure sale, should there be an actual liquidation of the property. We wouldn't be in first position because we're always last in line, but because it is a funding resource of last resort. That's really how it's structured, so that it's only when people can't get state and federal money or a private lender to give them money or some other grant, that's when they come to the city.
You did Z11 and 12.
Yeah.
Yeah. For this, like, say like, we voted on this already. This was back, I guess, a couple of weeks ago, we voted on this. This right here, just the, inside of the ordinance that we approved, it was written that monies were going to be utilized and allocated for that particular project, right? This is just actually doing it, right?
Correct, so what it is that the developer came and requested funding, grant funding from my office to help execute and complete the project. So they presented an application.
Which ordinance are we talking about?
She's talking about the Jackson Green abatements. That's separate to what, yeah, that's the abatement's separate to community development. Yeah.
Just agreements for,
This is for like the financing, like to get the project. To get the projects underway and everything else. So.
affordable housing costs. Okay, we're at Z14.
14, yep, and John is.
Z14, it's a resolution authorizing a home investment partnership with Garden State Episcopal CDC for Phase 4 of the Neighborhood Recovery Program, various scattered sites as well. Any questions on that? Nope. Okay.
Thank you.
10Z15, it's a resolution to recommend Affordable Housing Trust Fund dollars to 78 MLK LLC. Thank you, John.
Yeah, so 10 Z15 and 10 Z10 are one's the contract and one's the recommendation. What was that? Any questions in the difference of the two?
Any questions on that? Nope. Where else do you go? 10Z16?
10Z16.
The resolution program, PY, program year 2017 Annual Action Plan Home Investment Partnership Program Funds.
So this reprogramming our funding. Any questions?
90 Virginia, 78 MLK Drive. Yep. Any questions?
Nope.
Okay. 10Z17 is a resolution approving the Housing, Economic Development and Commerce Division of Community Development Policies and Procedures Manual for the implementation of the Home Investment Partnership Program. And you all should have received an electronic
Copy of
version
the
of the manual.
Thank you.
And this is after all of the audit and everything, right?
Yeah, this is out
Part
of the
the-
outcomes and what requirements, and it took us about a year and a half to successfully complete back and forth with the law department and reviews and so on and so forth. So this is where we're at. HUD approved it, and so now we just need council approval.
And last one for you, Carmen, right?
Yep, last one for the-
Z18, recommending Affordable Housing Trust Fund to the Housing Authority of Jersey City for the Thomas J. Stewart Apartments.
We have a
48
housing
units.
authority, Steve Sia here. Any questions in regards to this particular project?
Any questions on this? This is in Ward
Total-
B, right?
No, E.
E?
E, total units of 48 units.
Oh, Erie.
Erie, yep.
No questions. Thank you.
I have a whole page
Okay,
out.
come on, before you leave the office, you can just have a meeting with my aide, okay? Because she in charge of that issue, it's really serious. We gotta take a World War II veterans, you know?
Okay.
All right, good.
Steve Miller, are you here for items?
The most of was on the deferred agenda, if you put that back on.
You can hold off for another meeting. We still got to get that scheduled. Okay, what's that? So the last meeting, or 2 meetings ago, I guess it was? The lease for the Central Avenue Post Office. We tabled that with the idea that, discussing. They did meet. You weren't here for that meeting, but we're having subsequent meetings after that to follow up on some of the things and just, yeah, I think I emailed you on some of the stuff around that down in Montgomery. Yep.
It's on the crosswalks, and it's,
I think you sent me that information.
I have a ton, I mean, like, you could just go any day and take a picture, and they're definitely breaking the law, every single day.
The post office.
So Margaret is setting up the meetings, reaching out to Councilman Yuen, Councilperson Osborne and Waterman. If there was, we can only do 3, but if other folks want to chime in on that, then you could sit down with them and give them grief. Yes, holding them hostage. All right, Steve? Andrew, last but not least, come on up. And we've got,
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for having me. I don't have anything as exciting as the rollerblades, but I'll start with 3B, which is converting the intersection of Manila Avenue and Pavonia Avenue to an all-way stop intersection. I'm not sure if I can jump around, but 3G is the same. 3B as in boy is the first reading of an ordinance to designate Manila Avenue and Pavonia Avenue as a multi-way stop intersection. 3G is essentially the same thing, designating Mallory Avenue with Fisk Street as a multi-way stop intersection. Any questions on those two?
No, we'll try to keep our stop intersections together on the agenda.
Sure.
the respective council people, fine with that, right? Yep. That's your request?
All right, moving on to 3C, which is reserved parking, essentially 5 addresses in total. One person moved, and then the remaining 4 had to be relocated for various reasons. Any questions? There's one representative for the Reserve Parking Council, committee, rather. There's a representative for each councilperson. Yes. Councilman Waterman chairs the committee.
I think every councilperson's on there.
Or something.
Which one?
It may not be for
Handicap
our-
parking committee?
Yes.
Yeah, they have a committee.
Do they have
Yes.
lawyers left out of this?
Yeah, but,
You can take it from Wardy, that's fine.
and they're gonna have a meeting, end of this month, she said.
Yeah.
Because they didn't hold it, the meeting almost a couple of months.
Correct.
Yeah, so they're gonna hold the meeting at the end of the month, so we'll see.
That's a handicap committee?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do they do?
They review the application, which is,
Handicaps?
yeah.
We can't do that. What do you mean?
No.
It's a committee that does it. And they recommend it to council.
Even if the doctor, so.
Matt Logan tells you a list of.
They review medical information, all that stuff.
Review by the private doctor, review by city doctors, and then go to the committee review one more times. You know what I'm saying?
Why?
We have
Because the committee people knows the avenue, because a lot of, we cannot depend just on the document itself. You know what I'm saying? We can,
Yes.
can understand that, yeah. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Okay. 3D.
3D is an ordinance to restrict right turns on red at the intersection of Communipaw Avenue and West Side Avenue. This is just restricting right turns on red. You would still be able to make a right turn on green as you normally would. And this is just to improve the safety at that intersection, particularly pedestrian safety.
Any questions
Good,
on
good to
that?
move on? All right, 3E is creating a pickup drop-off area near PS 12, which just for this new school year, a few programs shifted to this school that require more buses to bring children there. And we are designating 75 feet on Astor Place and 25 feet on Crescent Avenue for that school days for just 1 hour in the morning and 1 hour in the afternoon.
Andrew, I have a request.
Yes.
And that's not pertaining to PS 12, but could get a report about all the school sites and what the drop-off and pickup, because there's variations throughout, like in days and times and so forth. Both public schools, charter schools, private schools, all of them. Let's just like get a. I'm not
Essentially, a
expecting it next week
synopsis
or
of existing
synopsis of all of it,
conditions?
Yeah, and like what the times and.
Sure.
It should be fairly consistent, I think, across the board. I think we got a lot of variations on this stuff.
Yeah, I think generally speaking, we
This
we
looks
handle
very
them.
restrictive, like 8 AM to 9 AM. If you look at some of the other ones, they're like 8 AM to 5 PM, right? So, it's,
Understood, we'll work on that.
Yep.
Andrew,
Yes?
did we, meet with Astor Place on this?
No, we didn't. This is. And the reason we didn't bring it to their attention is just because of how minimal the impact is. We're talking about an hour off peak during the afternoon. 8 to 9 and 2 to 3.
I think we should at least let the block association president know. I mean, because they're gonna yell at me.
So I'll just a little
Huh?
bit of background about this item. We received a letter from the School Board of Education the Monday prior to Labor Day, which left us approximately 4 days to work on this. We immediately posted no parking signs through the parking enforcement and then started working on the ordinance to get this in place as soon as possible. So we really didn't have much time to reach out to every single entity to unfortunately receive feedback, but you know, I still maintain that this is needed for the neighborhood, and I can't think of a compromise personally less than this as far as the amount of time that we would have to give the school.
For the district. So now they're busing all the ELL learners from all over, from K to 8 for that building.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's just important that we say something.
I agree, and under normal circumstances, we absolutely 100% would have, like we are doing with, you know, looking at that one-way conversion, working very closely with the neighborhood group. But like I said, we had an extremely tight time deadline here, where we had to act as soon as possible to sort of get this in place.
It's 2 readings, so you still notify them. It's,
Absolutely.
yeah.
I do have a question before. Is this the last one?
No, yeah.
Okay.
Several.
Okay, next item, or can we move on to me, or is it?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
Moving on to
3F.
F, which is repealing no parking anytime from one side of Lembeck Avenue. This would essentially repeal an area that was no parking anytime that didn't need to be, and we would effectively be creating space for approximately 7 to 8 more parking spaces. Moving on. 3G, we already went over. That's for the, we already talked about that, Mallory and Fisk as a multi-way stop. That's it for ordinances. Moving on to resolutions, we have 10.
What are we seeing at Ocean Avenue for the warehouse, the Haka warehouse?
Oh, I just met with them last week. I met with them, I think, the day of the deadline for this council meeting, so it'll be on the next one. Moving on to resolutions, there's 10 total. 10V through Z5. I'll just summarize. V through Z4 are just street closings. Any questions on any of those? All right. 10Z5. That is a resolution creating a loading zone on Palisade Avenue, 25 feet on Palisade Avenue adjacent to Franklin Street, which would effectively create a 50-foot loading zone daily for 3 hours, 8 a.m. to 11 a.m.
Like a month ago, we approved the another loading zone, Franklin, that area corner, you know that, right? So this is a serious problem now. In the future, you're going to be do that because now, from the loading zone, what we gave to them now, the months ago and this one, just not even half blocks, 1/3 blocks away each other. If we keep issued at the loading zones, then you're going to be going crazy one day. Because, so I like to withdraw this one, okay? And I'm going to speak with the owner.
You'd like to withdraw?
Yeah.
We already went through
No,
this,
the
Michael.
Z5. Why?
I don't understand why we would withdraw.
So Z5, I like to ask you withdraw till I have some meeting with the community in that area. You know, So loading zone issue, very sensitive issue, it's Palisade, and it's a parking issue, number one, that area, you know? And we keep issue that they are loading zone in that area, you're gonna go nowhere.
So
We already,
the loading zone that we approved maybe 1 or 2 meetings ago is on a completely other end of that block, and we put it on the side street.
Yeah.
In this case, Franklin, that wasn't possible because Franklin Street is one way traveling away, traveling towards Palisade Avenue, so we couldn't put the loading zone there.
I'm really feel uncomfortable, you know. Actually, it's a size-wise of stores, this stores, actually it's not large size in stores, you know, so it's a small tiny store. If we look at a loading zone in this size of stores, then
we took that into account, which is why we didn't place it directly in front of this store. We placed it at the corner, so that multiple smaller stores could utilize the same loading zone. This particular, I guess, petitioner is roughly located mid-block, and we placed this at the corner so that more storefronts could use it.
See, actually, it's a less than, so that 1 block, we have a 2 loading zone already.
That's not the case, that's not true.
No, there's one side is a Franklin Avenue, you know, that's the one, and the other one is a Palisade Avenue, actually not far from each other, you know? I don't know.
We placed that loading zone on Ferry Street.
Yeah, Ferry Street, it's just
Not on Palisade Avenue.
It's not Palisade, the Ferry. So Ferry is a side street, you know, it's along the east and west, and this is southwest, but not far from each other, you know? Yeah, Ward D.
This is Ward C.
no, this is Ward C.
That's why what you're saying is okay.
Yeah, but, no, this is Ward C?
This is Ward C.
We went,
Yeah, you're-
we went from,
I'm telling you, I decided to take a Ward C too.
yeah, you can have it. No, we went from a full day of no parking to down, what, 3 hours a day?
Yeah, the initial request from this storefront was essentially 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. every single day of the week, mid-block. And I met him at his storefront. We walked the area. We took a look at where bus stops are, where his trucks load and unload currently. He talked about some of the difficulties that he has with certain vendors not delivering to him because he doesn't have a loading zone. And so he understood why we couldn't give him for that entire time frame. And he said he would do his best to coordinate with the people delivering to him that are the most restrictive to deliver within this short time frame that we're giving him. No.
This is C.
No, I went there, this is ours. Ward D.
What's the address?
It's
It's C.
No, it's a Ward D.
Let's see.
I say D, when I say D means D.
Take it outside.
Okay, take it outside.
What is the address? Actually,
South of Franklin Street.
Okay, so we're just moving forward?
South of Franklin.
Yeah, okay, great. Let's, thank you, Andrew.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Who do you know? The one this afternoon?
I don't know. Do you want me to call?
No, I'll find out later because I have the meeting.
Even though we're in, I'll call.
Andrew, Freedom Place,
Michael, can I have this?
the, sign.
The meeting, Andrew, forget about it.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
The signs for the
Zone parking.
zone parking, yes.
Yeah, I'll check on that. I'll check on that first thing tomorrow.
And are you in charge of the sweeping for Berry Lane Park as well? Because we approved that on.
Yes, they should have been, the work orders should have been issued at the same exact time. They probably have been issued, but I'll double check on both of those. I believe those were on the same meeting.
No, thank you for
Oh,
everything.
thank you.
I drive you crazy, that's why.
Start from the top.
so Andrew, we're gonna see you tomorrow. Tomorrow.
Sweet song.
Yeah, I'm gonna,
All right,
okay.
all right, gang.
Top.
A is an ordinance creating 3 new classified positions for supervising towing operations, supervisor heavy equipment operator, keyboarding clerk 2/telephone operator, and sanitation superintendent, so that's actually 4. Does the ordinance actually say 3 in the title?
Yes.
Yeah, it's four, we'll get that fixed.
Okay. Any questions about that?
Nope.
Okay, 3H.
3A.
We've done everything from 3B to 3G.
Yep. We have H is vacating a portion of Factory Street consisting of approximately 3,623 square feet for public utilities located in the Montgomery Street redevelopment area.
I tried to find out the Factory Street, I can find it on Google
We
Maps.
have Robert Vertibello from Connell Foley here.
Where is it?
Bob, why don't you quickly explain it?
Yes, Factory Street is a paper street that only exists on paper. It's to the east of the Block Drug site that's currently used by Hudson County for their offices. It's buried in there. It's near the mixed single and two-family houses that were built next to Ferris High School back in the 80s. So it doesn't exist as any thoroughfare. In fact, a portion of it in 1980 was vacated to build by the Jersey City Redevelopment Agency to build those houses on Montgomery Street. And there was always a utility substation there. PSE&G is planning to upgrade the substation, and as part of their programming, what they're looking to do is wherever they can add a little bit of land to give themselves more flexibility, because with the growing need and demand in Jersey City, wherever they can add some land to put in equipment and to build resiliency and redundancy, they're looking to do that. So since the substation already abuts that piece of property and there's no plan to reopen it as a city street, PSE&G made this request of the city.
So the whole street will be belong to PSE&G, correct?
No. 10 feet will still remain with the city of Jersey City. There is an overall master plan with the possibility of putting in a pedestrian and bike path through there, which PSE&G, originally we asked for the 30 feet, but the city notified us that there was an amorphous plan to do that, so we scaled back our request to accommodate the city.
Joy, this is the case, actually, the street is a 30-foot wide, correct?
It was originally a 60-foot wide street.
So now, but when I see that this diagram, it's a 60-foot, but it's a 30.
Well, originally Factory Street was a 60-foot street. 30 feet was vacated in 1980 on behest of the Jersey City Redevelopment Agency, so 30 feet remained. Ordinarily, when you vacate a street, you vacate the whole street. Half goes to one of the neighboring property owners or budding property owners, half goes to the other. In this circumstance, for whatever reason, the JCRA only vacated half of the street. So this orphan paper street was hanging out there. It was a 30-foot wide section. And so at this point, we're vacating 20 out of the 30 feet, out of the remaining 30 feet.
So let's say it's a 30-foot wide, right? So city going to be reserved the 10-foot and the 20-foot, we're going to go to PSH, correct?
Correct.
That's it. Then actually, as I understand, when they blockade the street, they have to look the left, they have to the right. So now, PSNG get the 10-foot wide street, get free from the Jersey City.
No, you have to pay taxes on it.
Yeah, it'll now become a tax-paying property. PSE&G is not exempt from paying taxes.
But I'm a little confused myself. Normally, that's what happens. The center of the street, one half goes to either side. So what you're saying, though, is the city, by vacating the street, we're also conveying title to a portion of the street as well? That's it.
Understand the question.
Well, you're saying that there's, half of the street is already vacated,
Correct.
and now you're vacating
The balance.
the balance, but not all of that is going to the adjoining owner?
Correct.
So where is, so
PSE&G
explain.
is the adjoining owner of
All
that
right, so
section.
they're taking the entirety, that other 30 foot? 20. Why is there only,
For the pedestrian bike lane.
Yeah, but now, why not the 15 feet? It's
so
a 20.
they're, well, we can get 15 though, because if we're not the owner, I mean, they only partially vacated the street, before, so they only vacated the half that the city actually had an interest in, or the redevelopment agency had an interest in. Now they're looking to vacate the rest of it, but they're also really accepting title to 10, the city is accepting title to 10 feet.
Well, the city has possession of the remainder of Factory Street. It's still marked as a paper street. So the city is keeping that.
20 feet.
Correct.
They're going to maintain a 10-foot.
Yes, that was at the request of city planning.
Why wouldn't we just get PSC&G to convey title
That was at
to
the
the,
request of city planning.
really?
If we have questions, we should ask for planning.
Correct.
All right. It doesn't make sense to me, but, okay.
Thank you, Bob. I, J, and K are all honorary ordinances applying the name of Anon Street to the former Montgomery Montgomery Gardens Housing Complex, Jonathan C. Gibbs Jr. Boulevard, to the public thoroughfare, plan to run north and south through the Montgomery Gardens Housing Complex, and Ward Street to the public thoroughfare, plan to run east and west through the site of the former Montgomery Gardens Housing Complex, which will run parallel to Bright Street.
Joyce, these are yours.
Yeah.
Is there exception?
All right, L.
They picked them off the list. Yeah. There's a list that
L
exists.
is a 5-year tax exemption for 170 Grant Avenue, also known as, or formerly known as 170 Grant Avenue. It's 2124 John F. K. Boulevard.
Any questions about this?
All right, how about M, a 5-year tax exemption for 39 New York Avenue.
Questions? 3M? All right, we have our second reading ordinances. Any questions on anything related to the second readings? Scamper. Okay, no questions on second readings?
Okay, let's take the resolutions from the top. Who knows?
Thank you all.
Might get a nice rest.
Take care, Chuck.
10A, where,
so-
10A,
Hold on.
Before
Councilman
we go,
Yun.
yeah, before we go there, the 4K, second reading.
Told that guy to stay in the room.
Tell them to wait. I'm gonna come back.
Who's 4K?
Yeah, 4K.
Oh, that's Whitlock, right?
Yeah, tell them to come back.
4K.
Are they here? You're here, okay.
So 4K, that's your agenda? Okay, okay. The 30 years tax abatement for, okay, let me ask this one. I'm not asking too much, okay? Actually, this is a joint also. If,
Sure. My name is Elizabeth Olnich, and I'm here with RPM Development Group.
Elizabeth, please spell your last name.
Sure. KULINICH. Yep.
Could've got that.
okay.
Okay.
So when you see the page, actually financial agreement. So page, where is it? Not the no page, but actually Article 4, 5. Project to implement and contracting agreement. Section 3 program, section 5.1. Project to implement agreement, and there is attached here at Exhibit A. We don't have that here, Exhibit A. So now, what that means that actually this city council members are all aware that now no more we're going to put the peer agreement separate. So now peer agreement is going to be joined the financial agreement, but now they say financial agreement we're talking about it, but Exhibit A, and we don't have any documentation. So now we don't know what kind of financial agreement they, project agreement we have there. So I need a copy of that paper.
Exhibit 8
Yep.
of section 5 reference to section 5.1. It's project employment and contracting agreement.
Because the peer going to publish now financial agreement, so without financial agreement, we cannot, we should review this project anyhow.
What's that?
We should not review this one, you know.
We shouldn't review this.
So because, you know, it's incomplete financial agreement, simply.
We've had weeks to request it if you didn't see it, but okay.
They said that folks are working on the revisement of the PICA agreement, so that's.
Ordinance.
Yeah, there's an ordinance, a PICA ordinance that's coming down the pike, and
this is
there's really no PICA agreement like as of right now. I mean, so we have to probably wait for the PICA.
But this is construction for more than $25 million.
The PICA agreement is.
PICA?
Correct me if I'm
This is a
wrong.
PICA?
It's a PICA. Correct me if I'm wrong, but the PICA has not been challenged in court, and we don't, technically, we do have a valid PICA agreement, correct?
Yes, as far as I know, yes. We have a valid PICA agreement, but you wanted it revised.
The city's actually working on a new PLA. PICA, I'm sorry. PICA. Yeah, they're working on that right now, and they said they were gonna be giving it to the council like this month, or like seeing a draft.
Ordinance
See the
or
draft.
ordinance?
An ordinance. So you're saying, I'm just reading, interpreting, you tell me if I'm misinterpreting, you want to wait for the new PICA?
8 is like weaning because it's being drafted, like a new PICA is being
Well,
drafted.
let's get him a copy of the PICA, it's a standard PICA agreement, right? I assume.
Oh, no, not the standard PICA agreement. So, Joanne, this is what it is. Just a minute, let me look at her
Okay, go
face.
ahead, go ahead.
Eye contact we need. Okay. PAL agreement has issued the court case, so we don't want to talk about the PLA agreement. What we say that now on PLA agreement will be part of the financial agreement. Because of that reason, if we see the Article 5, Section 5.1, they talk about the project to labor agreement, and they say attach the paper Exhibit A.
PICA, not a PLA.
Yeah, but over here they say the project employee agreement,
Project employment and contract agreement.
PEA, project employee, so PECA,
Those
what,
are two separate agreements.
whatever you call them. PECA, whatever, doesn't matter, but I like to have the documentation attached with this financial.
It wasn't included already, but let me get it for you. You have the financial agreement. What you want is the Exhibit A.
It was probably
So,
attached.
yeah, so somehow,
Okay.
First thing I asked that the documentation, nobody provided.
No, they weren't revising the PICA agreement, they were revising the ordinance, they were making revisions to an ordinance of the city's municipal code on,
for new projects.
Yes.
But not for projects that had
PICA
already
is a standard
been.
PICA agreement, if you've seen it
Yeah.
before, you'll see it again, it's the same.
That's how I understood it. Let me see what it is.
Like it's supposed to have been like dropped down to 30, so that was some of the revised in the PICA. So that was discussed because they had said, well, you know, we did work with the PLA, but now we're gonna have to adjust the target. So they said everybody's gonna have hard targets. So if we just went over PLA, targets is silly, stupid, whatever. Now we was gonna lower the targets because of the data that we received. And we said that historically PICA performed better than PLAs anyway, right? But they said that there was gonna be new set targets for the PICA agreements. Now, that what was said, so.
Even for projects that already had been introduced? Or they're pending? I mean, these are projects that people applied for under a certain set of facts, and then the council introduced it. So where are we changing it?
No, legal has a draft, like that we didn't get yet.
So you've
right?
seen it already then? All right.
But we didn't see
I
it.
didn't work on this one,
Yeah.
so.
We provided a draft of the PICA agreement as part of the tax abatement application, and there we agreed to, I don't know if that's what your question is, but we've agreed to 51% of local hiring from Jersey City.
What's the first page of it say in the
Project
left-hand
employment,
corner? Version,
New and
a date.
revised as of March 24th, 2017.
Yeah, so that's the existing,
Current existing one.
right.
So.
That's
They-
what, that was
No,
after
they
the
said,
conversation.
yeah, they said that they would revise.
New revised PICA was being worked upon. They didn't say it was part of this agreement.
Right, but it would it,
So you're
would it
saying
attach?
essentially you want to delay this approvals for this project until a new PICA is formulated. Is that's what I'm hearing? If that's the request, then that's the,
But they said that they were gonna drop it down to about 30 or so because they wanted to maintain and make sure that we hit targets, right? So, you know, 51% is still off. You presented it as 51%, if you can get 51% of that site, whatever Jersey City, whatever.
that's in the PICA. That's the existing PICA.
Yeah.
Right.
It's not a hard target, though. It's a good faith effort, correct?
Right.
Good faith.
Yes.
Yeah.
So,
But it's what was in effect at the time they applied and what the council already introduced. And for, I know they were working on something new going forward, but I didn't think it was going to apply to.
So the whole PICA applies to this.
Yeah. If that's okay, then we'll get a copy of it to you.
we're not close to approving a new PICA. Let's just be clear about that, right? They're
Right.
working on it in revisions. You saw how long the PLA process took from January of this year till the last meeting, right? I think it was. So you're looking at an 8-month process before that actually got. Yep.
Thank you for the provide project.
We'll get your PICA though.
No, project now. The second question is different. Thank you for provide project income statement for this project. Based on you and the project income statement, and we gotta look at what is the cost of a municipal service provided in that area, so and so. So City of Jersey provide the municipal service in that area, costs us how much millions? $1.24 million. But actually what we collect, what we compare with that, City of Jersey City will be provide around the $1.2 million subsidized municipal service in that area, your project area. Now, meantime, based on your project income statement, over the 30 years, so 30 years, 30 years, total gross income for your project around the $4.2 million a year. So like I said, you guys did not increase rent, so $4.2 million per year gross income times 30 years, your project collect almost $120 million total gross income, so based on your project income statement. Now, over the 30 years, your side make a total gross $120 million. No? So tell me now. Correct me, because I don't waste my time, so tell me.
Units of 330 units in total, 70% are affordable. We only have 100 market rate units, so there's, we're not making out with $4.3 million. That's, yes, I understand. Our expenses are about 2.7, and that our debt service comes to 1.3. So,
Can I have a copy of that?
sure. This is in the tax credit application. I can certainly. Okay.
So, we try to look at it. We look at it very simple way. So, based on like $4.2 million, I say gross total income revenue for your project, $120 million over the 30 years. Now, meantime, City of Jersey will be subsidized municipal service almost $1.2 million, so $36 million. So when I see that something wrong here, you guys make total gross make $120 million, but City of Jersey subsidized almost $36 million. Excuse me. So I said, wait a minute, something wrong here.
Are we talking about municipal cost? Per person?
Yeah. All right. But anyhow, like I mentioned today, because maybe the Council Frank not follow what I'm saying, but can I have a copy of this, so let me discuss with Wednesday meeting, okay?
I can provide you our income and expenses. Sure. I wrote all over it, but if that's okay. Sure.
Discuss it tomorrow.
You're gonna get it, while we do the rest of the meeting.
Yes.
Okay, we're gonna take resolutions from the top. 10A, it's the time of year where we're still receiving grants and inserting them into our budget. B, we did earlier with Stacy. C through F, cancel tax sale certificates sold in error. G is waiving the 20 days on the naming of the gazebo after Maria Tuzzo. H, commemorating the life and achievements of my eighth grade teacher, Dr. Barbara Petrick, St. Joseph's Grammar School and Dickinson High School. Excuse me? She's my eighth grade teacher. Taught at St. Joe's for many years. I, honoring Gabe Ambrosio and Sons Plumbing. J, commemorating Phil Stop for 44 years of service to the Jersey City community. K, resolution commending Corporal Richard Hamilton for his service. L, applauding a dedicated Puerto Rican, we'll have to say, Puerto Rican leader of our community, David Cruz. M, commemorating the establishment known as Brzezicki's Tavern, which serves Jersey City for 72 years but no more. N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, and U, all authorize the business administrator to execute discharges of mortgages at 99 Belmont, 38 Ravine, 142 Sterling, 1209 Summit, 1209 Summit, two different units. S is 194 Van Horn, 113 Zabriskie Street, and that has two different lot numbers. So we're up to V, which we've done. We've done V, and next page, accepting Z6, which is authorizing the addition of Hudson County Community College to the City of Jersey City's Certificate of Self-Insurance for coverage of an event to be held by the city on October 15th in connection with the Jersey City Art and Studio Tour. I'm so happy to say that I have a black dot next to everything from Z8 through 19. Z20 is authorizing a gift agreement with...
It's being withdrawn.
Which one?
Z20.
Okay, good. Z21 is a execution of a license agreement for the public library to use various rooms in City Hall for various literacy programs. Z23, authorizing the city to participate in the Bergen County Cooperative Pricing Agreement. We did 24, 25 was withdrawn. The rest of the page has either been covered or withdrawn. Z30 was covered, Z31 withdrawn. Z32 is a contract with Formax, a division of Bestcorp Incorporated, for the purchase, delivery, and installation and training of a FD 680 forms, buster, and imprinter for the municipal court. Z33 is a professional services agreement with McCusker, Alselmi, Rosen, and Carvalli for general legal services related to employment organization practices. Z34, ratifying the award of a professional services agreement with D. Gabriel, McNulty, Campanella and Company, LLC. Z35 and 36 were done earlier. Z37 is authorizing police services agreement between the City of Jersey City and PGA Tour Incorporated for police services at Liberty National Golf Club in connection with the President's Golf Cup. Z38 is a resolution that was on the last meeting. It's from the Claims Resolution Corp. Z39 we talked about. It's the grant from Hudson County. Z40 and Z41 sponsored by the council president, both asking the federal government and the New Jersey Attorney General to support DACA. Z42 we'll get a replacement for later, and Z43 we did earlier. So,
Motion.
by Councilperson Waterman, I was gonna give it to you, Bob. To adjourn at 7:43. Councilperson Waterman, seconded. All right, who's still standing at this time? We have the whole... Okay. Thank you very much, everyone. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.